Hey guys, welcome back to another first impressions video. As I promised, I was gonna do Elvis. I just got out of the theater. It's a little bit late. I think it's like 9ish. Um, so I just want to get this first impressions video done. And just to set the stage correctly, I don't know a whole lot about Elvis Presley, the man. I obviously know his music. Don't know a lot about his history. I can put some things together just by the industry in general. Probably got caught up in drugs, probably got caught up in the fame of it, certain elements like that. And unsurprising to me, the movie talks about stuff like that. Um, but it goes in a particular direction, which I think actually killed a lot of the movie. But to speak positively for a second, the surprising element to me, after going through those first two acts, is that they actually stick the landing decently enough at the end. The finale, the last act, is actually where the most sincerity is, and I actually felt myself emotionally involved at that point, because it becomes more of a tribute at that point, and they splice in like some real footage of Presley, and the movie actually slows down a lot at this point and actually give time to focus on Elvis Presley. And it's at that point where I felt more involved and more engaged, and just was questioning why this wasn't the movie to begin with, because the first two acts, man, overstuffed is the word that's coming to me. In terms of style, I know that Bayes, I'm not sure how you say his last name, but he directed The Great Gatsby, Moulin Rouge. Like, I know that he has a strong visual sense when it comes to his directing, but I feel for this he needed to calm down, especially like it was overwhelming, the first two acts, and eventually I was just on autopilot, because I just started tuning it out, because it just kept like too much visuals in my face, um and it just it made me feel extremely disconnected from what I'm watching, um and it just made me care less about the circumstance itself. Like, I just, like, when Tom Hanks is narrating a lot of the stuff, like, it didn't do anything for me, because all this visual noise is just too much, which was weird when we got to the finale, or the final act, and it just became a lot more calmer and, smoother and more consistent. So that was, that was really a little bit, it was weird. But in talking about the actor proper, who plays Elvis Presley, Austin Butler, he's okay. He does good with the singing. I assume that he did the singing. Good singer, has his moments, but I wouldn't say it's anything that special. The problem with Elvis is that it's not really about Elvis Presley. It's actually more or less about Tom Hanks's character, Colonel Parker. The movie's a lot more focused on him, especially in the first two acts, and Tom Hanks is much more center stage than you would expect, which I think undermines the purpose of making this movie to begin with, because the movie's being called Elvis, and it's being billed as a biopic about Elvis Presley. So when a lot of our time is dedicated to Colonel Parker, who admittedly I think Tom Hanks did a better job performance-wise. I know that there are issues online with his accent. I thought there was, like, honestly, it's kind of non-existent, the accent. I can hear a little bit of what he's trying to do, but I hear more or less just Tom Hanks' normal voice. And eventually I just found myself not caring. I just thought, the presence of Tom Hanks is fun enough, and I thought he was doing a good job. Yeah, the accent is, if you want to pick at it, is definitely questionable, but I found him to be more compelling than Austin Butler, because the film decided to dedicate more time to him than Austin Butler. Because Austin Butler, for a majority of the film, feels sidelined and undermined. And I feel like there was a lot of gaslighting going on towards Elvis Presley. Because for a bulk of the movie, they're focusing a lot on his. I know that his signature is his movements and his style and just the way he, that he physically presents himself. But Elvis, the character, wants to be seen as a as a singer, not necessarily a performer or an entertainer, a clown. Like, and the movie's showing that people really care more about his moves than anything else, and are like the movie's like trying to represent like it's weird, like the movie's like trying to show us that oh look, he's gaining all this fame and doing all this stuff, isn't that great? But they're like very much so like showing you just like, oh, it's about his movements, not really much his singing. And then you get to the finale, and then they actually start to focus more on his vocals than his physical elements. um like it's a weird thing. Um and I feel like that they were gaslighting him a lot. Like I didn't think that that was appropriate. Like I wanted to focus on Elvis the singer. I didn't want to focus on Elvis the dancer, And I feel like that they were like kind of trying to like, I don't know, like they were trying to make a weird point about his dancing in the first two acts. Um and how like somehow like him, upon him dancing, like apparently every girl around him, every girl gets horny for some reason. um like I don't know, like I feel like there's a lot of gaslighting. And I don't feel like Elvis himself would feel, you know I don't think that that was his intentions either, with dancing like that. um so I feel like a lot of that was, I wouldn't say inappropriate, but I can feel that the Presley family might have issues with that. I heard that they had issues with this movie anyway. Um, Maybe I'm wrong, but I think I heard that somewhere, that they had issues with this movie. Um, and I don't blame them. Again, I think that they were making a weird point about his dancing for a majority of the film, and they weren't really focusing on him as a singer. Which is what people most know him for. I mean, yeah, he had those crazy moves, but I mean, he was also a damn good singer. And I wish the movie in general focused more on that, and and also just focus on the title character, because we're focusing more on Tom Hanks, and because of that, when we get back to Elvis, we're just kind of like okay, whatever. Um, so um, so I think that it's way overstuffed. I think that it needed to calm down like a lot. As expected, it's also a little too long. I would have trimmed down a little bit. Not as It didn't bother me as much as I thought. Like when entering it, I thought I was gonna have a huge issue with that runtime, and really, that's just a minor complaint. The big issues are visually and just how Bays decided to direct it. I think that this movie needed to be a lot more how it chose to end, which is just be more sincere and be more calm and more focused on on the title character than having trying to just do all these visual things, because it seemed like the movie was more interested in what it can do visually than what it can tell narratively. So um so yeah, it feels a little bit scattered. It feels a little bit just all over the place for a majority of it, and then you reach the end, and it surprisingly just finds its footing. Um, but I feel like it's just little too late, because I eventually just tuned out like after those first two acts, because I was just like, okay, here comes another like crazy visual thing. Okay, whatever. Okay, like this was kind of my face for the first um for the first like two acts. So um like I said, the feeling that I have coming out of it is just overwhelmed, and not in a good way, just in like a like okay, you know. So I wouldn't necessarily say it's a bad film. I wouldn't necessarily call it a um like I I don't know. I don't know. The last few minutes actually worked for me, but um it's a bit messy in those first two acts. So I would probably skip it. If you're a big Elvis fan, you might like it. Some people who are walking out, I don't know if I just mentioned it, but some people who are walking out said that it was too long, and I can feel in the room that people were just kind of tuning it out as well at some point. Um, so I don't know. It has its moments, but I don't think it's enough to I don't think it's enough to seek out. I think you should just wait for it to like be released on VOD or whatever. Wait for some streaming service to pick it up, because yeah, it's a very problematic movie. There's a lot of issues with it. Um, it luckily finds its footing at the end. At least you leave on a decent note. But upon thinking about how you got to that point, you realize that it has a lot of issues, and that it just, like, when I think about it, I just get tired. Like, that's my thoughts. I just get really tired, and like I just kind of get like a headache, So, um, so, so yeah. So that's my thoughts on Elvis. A bit overstuffed and just structurally a bit of a nightmare. Like, it bounces around, and it just doesn't feel appropriate for what it's trying to do. So yeah. So yeah. So it was. I think that's the word for it. Just So if you want to seek it out, I mean, I don't know. I don't really think I could recommend it. The more I think about it, the more I'm just like, eh. So yeah, that's my thoughts on Elvis. I literally just got out of the theater, so again, if my first impressions seem a little like, not as polished or whatever, I'm literally just getting out. So, but yeah, that's my thoughts on Elvis. You guys let me know your thoughts on Elvis. Did you guys like it? Did you guys not like it? How'd you feel about Tom Hanks? How'd you feel about Austin Butler? I thought he was fine. He's probably gonna get an Oscar nomination because it's just that kind of movie. I mean, he has his moments, but I just no. So, but yeah, that's my thoughts. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Next video, we'll see what it is. Maybe it'll be a topic video. Maybe it'll be something else. Who knows? But yeah, that's my thoughts on Elvis. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and let me know your thoughts. And until then, I'll catch you guys in the next video.